When we look at the inner city, we see stagnation, we see decay, folded up, boarded up buildings and mom and pop stores that used to stabilize and revitalize the inner city are no longer there. It's not happening. When we look at the larger community, the majority community, we see just the opposite. Growth, new businesses, economic development opportunities, revitalized neighborhoods, new housing developments and so forth. And that's discrimination. That's discriminatory, and you're using tax dollars. Our bill will address that issue. Our bill says that you will have to check with the African American community. We must be at the table where the decisions are made regarding the spending of tax dollars. And that is going to change the way we do business in the state of Tennessee. That's called public policy and planning. And that's our spin on this particular issue. We're using Title VI, the Title VI Amendment to the 1964 Civil Rights Act, to create economic opportunities, create wealth and capital in the African American community. It's really important that I tell you how we got this passed, because you can imagine when you talk about changing the way we do business in the state of Tennessee.
And after all, you're dealing with something that nobody has talked about for 29 years.
Never enforced.
I would imagine our audience is curious as to why nobody ever said that much, why it has never been talked about.
Yeah, as I tried to indicate earlier, I think we got so caught up in the public accommodations part of it. Title VI has always been there, and there's always been language, Title VI language on various contracts, but it has never been fully and adequately enforced. And I have to credit John Birdsong with putting, he's the director of the Office of Minority Business Enterprise. He put the economic development spin on it. When you start looking at economic development and you start looking at how it happens, you know, the most obvious thing is the use of tax dollars. Without the tax dollars, you can't make it happen. You got to have a public tax dollar and private partnership to create that economic development and all of the enterprises and incentives that result from that. But it's so interesting how we were able to, once the African American community were able to see what's going on and see how we could benefit, they got supportive. We started to get support from Clarksville. Reverend Jerkins was one of the first persons, in fact, to get on board and bring so many people from Clarksville. But because there was opposition to this, and the opposition was to the fact that we're not ready to change the way we do business in Tennessee. We want to continue these relationships. We want to continue the kind of makeup that we have on planning boards and commissions. We're not ready to make that kind of change now. Well, we went to the community and explained to the community, we need your help. The bill is bottled up in a subcommittee called the Black Hole Committee, and they call it the Black Hole Committee because once it goes in, it doesn't come out.
Reverend Jerkins, your support of the NAACP, the president, and et cetera, certainly lends you to this kind of effort. But she mentioned the fact that you were able to bring people from Clarksville. I mean, how did you organize your efforts in Clarksville to bring support for this very, very important piece of legislation?
Well, we had been concerned about economic development and had, in Clarksville, been having our own small movement dealing with the city and the county and the government there in terms of getting certain things for the African Americans. And when we heard about the bill that Representative Brooks was sponsoring in the House, 290, I believe is the name of that, number of that bill, we were interested. And then when we received information from her, and then when we learned also that this bill had been bottled up, and in fact they had attached money attached, $100,000, a physical note to that bill, and that attachment was really to kill the bill. So at that time we needed to give support to Representative Brooks and our legislators to let them know that the entire public was concerned about this bill, and we were supporting her. So therefore, I think 2 or 3 buses came from Memphis and Knoxville and Jackson and Clarksville, and we filled up the committee room. The next time they had it, we were here again for that. So that leads us into looking at what we are doing on the Hill.
Now, what's the status? What's the status? And of course, we'll move to the Hill in just a minute. But what's the status of that bill now? And what can our viewers perhaps do in terms of helping to improve its chances, certainly to build it?
Well, the bill is passed out. It passed out of the House and the Senate. All present voted for the bill. So we've gotten it out. And Now, what has happened is a bill directed the Comptroller's Office, as you know, which is the auditing arm of state government, to conduct a study to find out what needs to be done, what does the state of Tennessee need to do in order to come into compliance. Well, the study has been completed, and the report has been published, and now we're in the process of developing Title VI. The state agencies that receive federal financial assistance are in the process of developing Title VI implementation plans, and those plans are just a plan to show how you're going to integrate the African American community into the planning of the spending of federal dollars. Now, we've gotten that far. We're into the implementation phase of this thing. It is so important now for us to ensure that the African American community is involved in implementation, otherwise it won't happen. It is also equally important that we do not, as my grandmother said, let the fox watch the hen house. No. So what we're doing, we've created legislation and filed that legislation to create a Title VI compliance authority. And that authority will be a quasi-public private entity. And that entity will be charged with the responsibility of monitoring state compliance with Title VI to ensure that state departments and agencies, as well as their subrecipients, do not discriminate, that they comply with the state bill as well as the federal statute.
Very good. I've